Hey everyone, we are live and happy Wednesday to you. I hope you are all well and the Christmas craziness isn't getting on top of you. Oh, I do feel like I need a good rest and sleep, but I've been really excited about the live today. And really excited to help you wear more of your wardrobe. That's the whole point of these sessions, is really to show you the pieces. I mean, my wardrobe is a working wardrobe. There's so many things I'd like to be adding to it and involving with it, but this is a working wardrobe, and I want to show you a little bit behind the scenes of how I get the most from my wardrobe. And one of the things I'm super passionate about is third pieces, items that we can use to kind of layer and make our wardrobe stretch further. I think one of the challenges often with third pieces is they sound great in theory, but often they don't live up to the versatility that they're meant to have. And there's a few elements to that. I think number one, it's understanding our bodies and our shapes and our words and how we want to feel in our clothes, and understanding what shapes then help us to feel that. So I'm going to be talking a bit about that today. I think I'm also going to talk a little bit about the function, and what's been really interesting, I've pulled all of my kind of third pieces out, plus ways to show you how to style it. Or how I style it. You obviously, the whole point of this, and sometimes my hesitancy to bring you into my wardrobe, is I want you to do you, not me. But hopefully this can help you, think this through. I think what's been really interesting for me about pulling out what I have is it's really made me realize what's missing. And I think we'll go through it, but a paler third piece is going to be something that I need to think about going forward. So that's what we're going to talk about. But please, if you have questions, the whole point of these lives is that you let me know what you're struggling with, so that I can come and I can really support you on what you're struggling with in your wardrobe, and maybe celebrate as well what is working for you. What if you bought something that's really worked, or if you started styling something in a new way, or maybe your style words and you started using them more, taking braver choices. Let me know. But if there's anything you're struggling with, use this moment. We have half an hour together. Let's use it. The next thing to say before we dive into it all is my power hours are going on offer from tomorrow. You are going to be able to buy an hour with me, which is normally £99, and you're going to be able to buy it for, she says so confidently, £62. So I'm offering them for the next week, up until next Tuesday, at £62. So this will be included in this email, and you'll be getting some emails over the next few days. So thank you in advance. I know this is something that a lot of my regulars buy so they can keep on top. So they've got a couple, and then they'll have one at the beginning of the year, one at the end, and they'll keep their evolution, their style going. But they're so useful to have if you know that you fall behind or don't make it a priority, and you can use your hour. So with that in mind, one of the things I do talk about a lot in my power hours are third pieces. Like when our wardrobes, especially, I mean, I'm coming from a very UK centric place. When we are living a life where we're maybe working from home, doing the school run, we want to be warm and we want to stretch out our wardrobe. So there's definitely, for me, there's a huge element of function I need from third pieces to help me get more wear throughout the year, and also for me to add interest. If I just had a jumper like this, it was just grey and not have the little bit of animal print popping out, it would feel so dull and so boring. So third pieces also give me a lot of interest in my wardrobe. But there's also for me a real practical. So when I help people find their words and to remind you of mine are cool, elegant, and impactful, so often understanding what makes you feel elegant is or if you've got a word like that, that's the opposite of, say, frumpy or dumpy or mumsy, is often about understanding our body shapes. Now, for me, let me just put my coffee down, one more sip. I find that, I mean, these jeans aren't too bad because they're wider. For me, with my body shape, I have a lower tummy and I have quite a short waist and curves, and and this bit is wider, so I don't always feel comfortable just wearing a top like this. I feel like it almost has too much on show. So for me, having a third piece, because I want to feel cool, which makes me feel chill, at ease in myself, having a third piece over the top allows me to do the pull the neck thing, like feeling like I've got to suck my tummy in, which I cannot be bothered with. I want to just feel relaxed. But things to think about when it comes to third pieces, a lot of the ones that we get and we see in the shops are incredibly square. And very rarely does something that is super square work for us. We often need to think about how a third piece can help us create more shape. Or if we are feeling square and bulky, how it can help kind of cut into our figure. So for me, what's so clever about this is obviously I have a slightly wider, you can see that it hits wider than my hips. And my hips are my lower tummy are my widest part. So that's the first thing to think about when it comes to third pieces. If you've got third pieces in your wardrobe, gilets, sleeveless vests, and you just put them on and you feel like a sausage in them, you know, like if it's like this. You see, if I was to do that, oh my God, I suddenly feel I feel not me at all, really. I feel all kind of like tight in myself and not relaxed. I then start feeling like, oh my God, are my arms big? I just get very self-conscious in my head. But as soon as even if it was slimmer through the waist, but as soon as that wider sleeve hits me, I feel relaxed. So that's one element. I also prefer not having things tight around my tummy. So thinking about the width on your gilets is really important. The next thing is you don't always have to have, now this has got cute little buttons, and this is a brand called the Naughty Ones, and they sent this to me and I've worn it a lot. You can also get ones that are just tabars that go over the front and the back and just have it loose. But I find that especially if I'm doing a lot of like commuting, traveling up, I mean, I have to check when I'm with a client, I'm actually in the fitting rooms or out running around. And something like these helps me to look smart and be warm, especially on those cold mornings, but will actually fit underneath really easily a jacket. So again, if you're somebody that finds that you're maybe out in the mornings and it's cold, and then during the day you're heating up, or you're finding your temperatures are really fluctuating, I would say that this is something to look for. Other top tips of things to look for, and actually something I don't have but kind of wish I did, is anything with a double zip. So I do have, I'll just show you what a double zip is. I've got a little jacket. So this is not a gilet, but this is just a little knitwear jacket that I've got. I love, love, love. And if this was, I probably could do something like this, but sleeveless. So for me, I love anything that feels quite sporty. That makes me feel quite cool. I love the strength of this neckline. This would look great as a kind of sleeveless thing. But a double zip, you might feel is annoying, but actually is incredibly useful because it allows us to start creating shape and playing with our clothes. So first of all, you might think you can just leave it like this, but look at the magic that can happen when you pull up. So when you're looking for your three pieces, really think about the double zip, because that really helps us. And you can really play with this. You could have it all the way at the top, and just have this and have that open. And if it sits proportionally, if you think about your body in thirds, you can start looking. You want something that feels a little bit weird and extreme, you might just do the top. But you can really play with the shapes that you are wearing. Now, for me, I find I quite enjoy that visually. It's quite exciting and interesting to me. Even just doing something a little bit like this, if you're somebody that needs to likes having a belt and showing off the waist, you could even just have it here and have that little belt on show. Equally, you can play and really open it up and have some fun with it. So I would say when you're buying a third piece, do have a look, a little gilet, have a look for the double zip, because that can really, give you more flexibility. And I think that is the key word, I would say, across all of this when we're thinking about third pieces. Layering them over polo necks and t-shirts is really thinking about that versatility. And as I'm saying this, I've just suddenly thought what would be great to show you guys is fine. Is it? Oh, I've got it. Oh, here it is. Yes. Right. Something that you might already own in your wardrobe. So there's a functionality element that we talked about with third pieces. So it keeps me warmer, kind of in the spring. Also, I find that if your temperature fluctuates, if you're commuting and you need something that's not a chunky jumper, fits under jacket. So there's a functional element. But I think the thing about third pieces is there can also be a character, personality, energy. And like something like a camisole, which we would maybe think of as redundant in the winter, actually could be something, because this especially in the summer can be a bit of a pain, because it's only, I probably would just do like nipple covers, and I wouldn't necessarily wear a bra or maybe strapless, but actually this is so low. But doing something like a camisole over the top actually allows me to have a third piece. It adds interest. I could even do it over something a bit sexier. Like I've got this kind of sheer bodysuit. There's no way I'd feel comfortable just in that on my own, but having something maybe like the camisole over the top, adds interest, makes me feel a bit sexy actually. And I think that's something often we lose in the winter unless we're getting dressed up. So it's nice just to put something on. So third pieces can also be something that are quite slinky and, nice to wear in that way. For other third pieces that I have, so I have another knit. This was kind of the OG. The navy isn't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily put the animal print underneath. Maybe let me put a shirt on and you can see it with the shirt. This one. I'll do my little stripe one sec. Okay, so I think having the shirt on in the winter at home could maybe feel a little bit dressed up. So again, another good reason for a third piece is it just makes things more relaxed. So if you are somebody that doesn't want to feel dressed up working from home, because it is still important that we get dressed when we're at home, like that, just a little bit of hair out. But for me, so this was a jigsaw one I got years ago. I really enjoy that kind of that drop at the back. Again, you see the wider, so that really works for me and makes me feel good. But I also love these in the spring, just with my, I have a few tattoos, and so I quite enjoy in the spring just having that. Just like that would be really nice. But I find that it just helps me dress down a shirt in the spring as well. I would say to you as well, making sure that things aren't too heavy. Like this is quite light, so it allows me to layer. But I'm not going to feel too overly heavy, or like, I think sometimes if you've got something that's short of sleeve, then your arms are cold, but you're warm. So I'd say lighter is easier to then layer up. That's one thing I'd say. So yeah, I've got a lot of the kind of wool ones. They're really useful. One that I thought was going to be super useful, and I've used it less than I wish I'm using it, if I'm honest, but it does feel good, was this Massimo Dutti little kind of sporty jacket. I think this is less of a winter, more of a spring. Good if I want to have that kind of blazer feel without actually wearing a blazer. Again, you can see it kind of follows the thing. What this is missing is the double zip. it needs to have, I'd love to be able to, because especially because it's got the elastic, I'd love to be able to do that and then lift that up, open it out. And that's why it doesn't get as much wear. I also think sometimes where that the pocket is placed, but again, useful for feeling smarter and feeling kind of dressier. One of my first ever kind of interesting gilet third pieces was this little tabard from COS. And I think any Scandinavian, top tip is definitely any Scandinavian brand, whether, COS, Arquette, but, also some of the, the kind of smaller ones as well, like Bam and First and Garden, or I'm trying to think other ones off the top of my head, but the smaller ones are definitely, you can find some interesting pieces. But I got this from COS. And again, especially if you're just like at your desk and you're getting a bit chilly, but I love where that hits on me and how it kind of creates shape and interest, makes an outfit interesting. Because an outfit is very rarely two pieces. You always need kind of a third item, whether that's an accessory or, you know, something else just to kind of make it yours. But I found this to be so good in the winter, and also that gets in my hand, carries in my handbag. So I love these tabards. They are very useful, and I have recommended them a lot to clients. To those of you that are on here live, let me know if you've got any questions. How do you find third pieces? The other ones that I've got, I'll just do this is more like mum on the run. This is just a little TK Maxx find, but the colour's fun, and I love the kind of the texture of it. Again, I could do with a double zip. It just feels so boring with a single. But I find that is just good if I'm just like, I feel a little bit like Marty McFly in it. But it definitely allows me to do the dog walks and the mum stuff and feel, interesting. The other ones that I have are things like, this is a whole 3-piece COS set. Now, I thought this was going to be really useful, this kind of gilet, and it's been pretty good for going to clients. It definitely smarten things up. I love how clean it is. I think it's probably because it's more of a spring thing. So if I was wearing it now, do you know what I found really useful is to actually match up the pinstripe with the shirt. So I'll show you. Let me show you here. So this was the shirt. I think I got it in sales last Christmas, actually. And what I often find, because it's quite a cold, crisp wool, it's actually just doing that little bit of animal print underneath. Yes, you can see. It can be quite a fun addition, actually. Nice. I wish they'd done those animal print puller necks again. They were so good. There's a good check one in COS at the moment. See, I do buy quite a bit from COS, but it's because we have a great one in Brighton, and I like to go in and try things on. But what I often will do, this is a great kind of going to a client house, and I would probably not do the dark. What trousers would I need? I mean, I do love, because it's still feeling quite sensible. The silver cargo trousers here would be good fun. But what I've found with this kind of workwear gilet is actually doing it either on top of the matching shirt, which makes it look like a blazer. So I look smart, but actually I'm quite relaxed. So they are useful for that, kind of smartening things up. I've also found I've done it over like something with that extra bit of sleeve. So a plain t-shirt under this, because this is so straight, it needs some curve. It's something like this. can really add a bit of fun and interest. But I do think the thing I've noticed from doing this is that actually a lot of my third pieces are quite dark. And what I need is something light or like neon or playful. And actually I've seen some really fun little fleece ones in like American Vintage. So I do think I need to upgrade it. But I love that even just the shape. It's always about taking that moment when you're looking at these third pieces about how it's going to frame the body and how it's going to help you feel at ease in your body. So for me, that kind of gentle curve, I really enjoy. If that was straight, it would just feel very, I don't know, it wouldn't be as interesting. So little touches like that, keep your eye on those. It's nice. I should need to wear it more. Next client. Another thing to think about is if you realize that you have, like me, got a lot of dark black gilets and they're a bit heavy and you keep putting them on and they just feel too harsh, then actually sometimes just pairing it over other dark items can make the dark items feel more interesting. I don't know if this is the best example. Let me just try put it on top of this instead. I have to find a better, feel more comfortable showing my skin. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting for me to change. So anyway, this is on a separate note. This is a little kind of knitwear jacket I've had for years. I've just added this fur collar that I had lying around, and I thought, well, that could make it feel a bit more interesting for winter. So that's just a separate little thought. But what I have been doing, maybe it'll work on top, we'll see, is that this was feeling really harsh and a bit, I don't know, I kept feeling quite mumsy in it. Country. So in this light, it doesn't look as black as it does in real person. But what I've done is I've been pairing it over the top of this, which I've had for years. So this to me feels a bit old, so therefore I'm a bit less inspired. And doing the fur collar on the top has kind of added a bit more interest. So that has been really useful, just pairing up the darker colours together and making it feel like it, an actual jacket. Because this could start getting into a little bit straight territory. It has not been as useful as I wanted it to be, I have to say. I think I know better. But there are elements, like I love this pocket. I love the kind of the velvet trim on it. And I do think paired over the little jacket, it's useful. The other thing to mention though here is how much a third piece doesn't have to be these actual jackets. You'll have seen this before, but let me put on it can also be something like a t-shirt that you're then putting over a long sleeve. So I was thinking about this sheer body and how much that sheer body would look cool with the t-shirt over. So, you could use your spring like t-shirts as third pieces. I wanted to show you though, there was something else, sorry. Oh, that was it. I wanted to show you the jacket. Let me show you this. So if I go back to just putting on, I don't know, like a little gilet, a little jumper. Oh, have I got it on? Excuse the lack of something underneath. Say, I was heading out. I love the glossiness of this jacket. I've had this years, but probably one of my most recommended tips, and I can't really take full credit for it. I did get it from someone else, but that's okay. Is all cashmere jumpers. So I love cashmere. I have champagne taste. And I just love the feel of it on my skin. It regulates my body so well. But this jigsaw jumper is a little slim for me these days. I don't want to get rid of it, and the fabric is so beautiful. So a third piece could also be a jumper that you've not worn in a while. And I've talked about this a lot, but I just wanted to bring it up again, especially at this time of year. You know, it can be such a fun way. So I literally just folded it in like that. And then I tied it at the back and tied it round. Okay. But you could, oh, and we can play with it, pull it out. You could start to twist it and create interesting shapes. But number one, functionally, so we go back to this thing of functional and personality. Functionally, I think when your chest is warm, you're warm. So if you're somebody that does feel the cold, but if you're also somebody that, again, your temperature's fluctuating or a scarf feels really bulky, what I love about cashmere is it can go so small, the yarn just kind of collapses beautifully. But they sit underneath jackets. It sits under jackets so well and adds, especially if you've got one that's a nice poppy colour, to your face. So I love it for that. But it's also great, like I said, for creating interesting shape. So one of the clients that I've been working with on like Stylist in Your Pockets, I've been helping her. We've been talking about how to kind of, she feels very blocky. So then it's about creating interesting shapes on the body. So is it that we create a bit more of a V and we play with it like that? So having a real think about how you can, when you're using your style words, is about knowing your alarm words, so how you don't want to feel, and then that helps you feel the opposite. So if you're feeling blocky or if you're feeling straight, then how can you do the opposite, create more shape? And it's all about doing the opposite. If you are unsure, make sure you're booking in for a power hour. We can go through all your wardrobe and really making sure that you're using your words. And if you don't know your words, then get yourself a style words consultation, so we can sort that out then. But I think that's really lovely. I also think that things like you've got these kind of fur stoles could be really interesting, almost like a third piece. It almost does the job of a gilet. This one is by, I got this in Anthropology years ago, but they always have some nice ones. There's Nikki, this brand. There's also Helen Bergman. She always does great faux furs, but I don't know, just by quality ones. But this has got a little clasp on it, so you can almost have it like this and have it almost as a third piece. But for me, I have this smudge barking away. Again, you could have some fun with it. Okay, so I hope that has inspired you with the idea of, you know, really engaging with their pieces. I will tag how I styled this jumper in different ways, and let me know what it is you're struggling with. What do you want to understand better? And I will try and see if I've got it in my wardrobe and talk it through with you. If you have items of clothing that you don't know how to dress and style, send them to me, and this is where I will cover them in the lives. This is a new format for me, and I appreciate that a lot of people these days maybe don't have the time to watch it. So I will be adjusting it potentially after, you know, seeing what the engagement's like. So if you like it and you've watched to the end, can you please leave a heart, thumbs up, a comment, so I can just see what you guys are wanting. So I want the space to be somewhere that we can really help you on your style journey, on your evolution. Because style, even for me, you know, we get stuck in our ways. We got stuck doing the same things, and it's really about helping you to evolve and have more fun and make sure that wardrobe feels like you, helps you express you, and helps you enjoy your life and support your life. Anyway, don't forget power hours are on offer till Tuesday. I need to go and get smudge sorted. I think he's trying to tell me something. And lots of love to you all. I will see you on the 10th of January for the next live Q&A. Wow, lots of love. Bye.